What you're about to see is the day America nuked Hiroshima and the world watched it happen. On the morning of August 6, 1945, the city awoke under a pale sunrise, unaware that history was about to be rewritten in fire and ash. Streets teemed with people, merchants opening their stalls, children heading to school, and workers rushing to factories, all wrapped in the ordinary rhythm of life. High above, the B-29 bomber Enola Gay carried a weapon unlike any other, a uranium bomb codenamed Little Boy. Inside the aircraft, the crew braced for the unimaginable, knowing their actions would echo through generations. The tension was palpable, a mix of duty, fear, and anticipation. Every mile brought them closer to a moment that would forever scar the world and redefine the horrors of war. Below, unsuspecting citizens went about their lives, unaware that the morning would end in devastation. The flight from Tinian Island to Hiroshima spanned hundreds of miles across the Pacific, each mile loaded with the burden of an unprecedented mission. Instruments hummed with precision as crew members monitored every detail of altitude, speed, and navigation. Every adjustment mattered, because a deviation of even a few seconds could alter history itself. Below, the city stretched wide, alive with the ordinary pulse of morning activity. Factory chimneys puffed smoke into the sky, children played along quiet streets, and merchants arranged goods for eager customers. None of them could comprehend the destructive force descending from above. The crew's focus was absolute, their minds trained to execute a mission that would change warfare forever. It was a flight steeped in tension, duty, and an awareness of the lives about to be lost. The plane approached Hiroshima through a clear sky, the morning sun reflecting off rooftops and streets. Civilians walked to work, carried groceries, and chatted on street corners, completely unaware of the weapon above. Soldiers conducted routine patrols and checkpoints, oblivious to the extraordinary force overhead. Inside the cockpit, the crew prepared for the bomb's release with the calm precision of extensive training. Every instrument reading, every calculation was verified multiple times to ensure total accuracy. The uranium bomb lay in its cradle, silent, dormant, waiting for the exact moment to awaken. Outside, the city appeared peaceful, the ordinary life of thousands continuing without interruption. The contrast between the calm below and the impending disaster above could not have been starker. The crew of Enola Gay maintained a steady formation as the city below drew closer. Captain Paul Tibbets kept a firm grip on the controls, his eyes scanning the horizon with unwavering focus. Major Thomas Farabee, the bombardier, adjusted the sight, preparing to release a weapon that would forever alter the course of human history. Each member of the crew understood the moral and historical weight of their actions. Below, streets wound through the city, neighborhoods dense with families, schools, and marketplaces. There was no warning siren, no time for preparation, only life continuing as usual. The juxtaposition of normalcy and imminent catastrophe was almost unbearable to comprehend. Even the most seasoned aviators felt the gravity of what was about to unfold. Every heartbeat on board seemed to stretch, knowing the moment of release would change everything. As Enola Gay neared the target, the tension inside the aircraft was almost tangible. The crew followed precise timing protocols, each step rehearsed countless times. Instruments were double-checked. The bomb's arming mechanism had been activated minutes earlier. The city below appeared ordinary. People commuting, children playing, smoke faintly rising from morning factory fires. There was no indication of what was coming, no way for them to prepare. The plane glided smoothly, approaching the release point with unwavering precision. The team inside held their collective breath, aware that the next few seconds would define history. The morning light of Hiroshima did little to hint at the fury about to erupt. The world held its breath, suspended between peace and annihilation. At 8:15 a.m., the moment arrived. Little Boy was released over the city, dropping silently at first, like a shadow against the dawn sky. Then, in an instant, a blinding flash illuminated Hiroshima far brighter than the sun could ever shine. Buildings shattered, fires erupted, and the lives of tens of thousands were changed in a heartbeat. The explosion created a heat wave so intense it ignited everything combustible within a wide radius. Shadows of those caught outside were etched onto walls, frozen in time. The world had never witnessed such destruction, nor would it ever again. The morning became chaos in an instant, with screams, dust, and fire consuming the ordinary streets and buildings. The crew have watched solemnly, knowing the city below was no longer recognizable. In the moments after the explosion, the air was filled with a mixture of heat, shockwaves, and rising smoke. The once orderly streets of Hiroshima were now a scene of utter devastation. People who survived the initial blast were caught in collapsing buildings, fires, and debris. The city's infrastructure was obliterated, and hospitals struggled to cope with the unprecedented casualties. The Enola Gay continued on its flight path, the crew aware of the historic magnitude of what had just occurred. The impact of the atomic bomb would be felt not just physically, but psychologically by all who learned of it. It was a moment that marked a new era in warfare, and one that would haunt the survivors forever. Rescue efforts began almost immediately, though chaos and radiation made them extraordinarily difficult. Those who survived the initial blast wandered in shock, searching for loved ones or trying to escape the burning city. Fires raged uncontrollably, fed by wooden structures and the intense heat of the blast. Medical teams, though prepared for conventional injuries, were unprepared for the scale of destruction and radiation sickness. Every step taken in the ruined streets revealed new horrors, the human cost of a weapon beyond imagination. This day, once ordinary, had become a turning point in history, shaping how humanity would view warfare forever. The horror of what had just transpired was undeniable, and news would travel slowly, carrying the weight of tragedy worldwide. The landscape of Hiroshima was unrecognizable, with entire districts leveled into rubble. Smoke and dust rose into the morning sky, visible for miles around. Survivors stumbled through streets lined with debris, searching desperately for food, water, or family members. Hospitals were overwhelmed, fire brigades incapacitated, and panic was widespread. The atomic bomb's destructive power had revealed itself in full, indiscriminate force. Even those who had been in shelters or at the edges of the blast radius were affected by heat, debris, or radiation. The day had transformed from a normal morning into one of unimaginable human suffering. History had taken a dark, permanent turn. Word of the bombing would eventually spread across Japan and the globe, though no one could fully comprehend the scale immediately. Governments and military leaders recognized the unprecedented nature of the weapon and the consequences for future warfare. Hiroshima became a symbol of both technological ingenuity and catastrophic human cost. People who learned of the attack felt shock, disbelief, and fear, realizing that the world had entered an era where a single bomb could obliterate an entire city. The psychological impact was immediate and long-lasting, shaping decisions that would follow in the coming days. The atomic age had begun, and its first demonstration left no one untouched. Survivors faced harrowing choices in the aftermath, navigating fires, collapsed buildings, and the lingering effects of radiation. Relief efforts were chaotic but heroic, as people attempted to help one another amid total destruction. Families were torn apart, entire communities wiped out, and the emotional scars would outlast the physical ones. The day's events forced a reckoning for humanity, how to cope with the terrifying potential of science wielded as a weapon. Even those far from Hiroshima felt the reverberations, morally and emotionally, of what had just occurred. The bombing reshaped warfare, ethics, and the collective understanding of human vulnerability. As smoke and ash filled the air, Hiroshima became a frozen testament to the destructive power of mankind. Streets, buildings, and landmarks were gone, leaving only a charred landscape dotted with the living, the dying, and the grieving. Survivors struggled to make sense of what had happened, searching for explanations amid the incomprehensible loss. The atomic bomb had demonstrated that human ingenuity could create unimaginable destruction in mere moments. For the world, this day became a chilling symbol of both progress and peril, reminding all that technological advances carry profound moral responsibilities. Humanity had crossed a line, and Hiroshima bore the full weight of that reality. By midday, the city was unrecognizable, a scarred terrain that would become synonymous with devastation and resilience. Firefighters, soldiers, and civilians who had survived the initial blast worked tirelessly to aid the wounded. Families mourned loved ones, searching through rubble and ashes, while the world slowly began to learn the scale of what had happened. The destruction extended far beyond what could be captured in photographs or news reports, leaving an indelible mark on the collective memory of humanity. The day was both a singular moment of horror and a turning point in history, signaling the dawn of the atomic age. As afternoon descended, the human cost became painfully clear. Tens of thousands were dead, countless others injured, and the infrastructure of Hiroshima was annihilated. Radiation sickness began to take its toll, adding an invisible threat to the already overwhelming devastation. Survivors struggled with injuries, shock, and the incomprehensible scale of loss. Rescue efforts were relentless, but limited by the chaos and destruction. The day had become a defining moment in human history, one that would be remembered for its moral, emotional, and political significance. Hiroshima had been irrevocably changed, and the world would never forget. Even as night approached, fires still burned across the city, casting an eerie glow over the ruined streets. Survivors huddled in whatever shelter they could find, many mourning family, friends, and neighbors. Emergency responders worked tirelessly, though limited resources and radiation made their efforts almost impossible. The scale of destruction created a haunting tableau, one that would resonate for generations. Hiroshima became a symbol of both human ingenuity and human vulnerability, a city at the epicenter of a technological leap with catastrophic consequences. The events of that day would forever shape the global understanding of war, morality, and the price of scientific advancement.